Hello and welcome to Soul Infused Monday. I'm excited that you're here with me today. And today it's with the topic of how to actually navigate through crisis, spiritual crisis, and the so-called dark night of the soul. Now, before I jump in, let me know that you're here, and I always love to engage with you. So it's really about a back and forth, and I feel like today is really more about sharing, connecting, not so much about giving or teaching. Maybe it's all combined in one. But welcome to the Soul Infused Monday show number 199. Next week is 200. So you should come. Okay, so who's here? And then I jump right in. Hi, Darlene. Hi, Tina. My 5 people. I see you Wednesday. Looking forward to that. So before we do anything else, right here, right now, I invite you to take a deep breath. Just take a deep, deep breath. Relax your body. Allow yourself to become present. Let's be present together for a moment. Remove any distractions if you have any. Mute your phone, close the door, close any other windows. If you're multitasking, I always recommend to stop that, even if that means you're closing my window. I hope you stay on the Soul Infused Monday show. And we are so used, including myself, to do like 5 things at the same time. While you listen to one thing, you do one other thing. The reality is, though, if you don't pay attention to one thing and be present with one thing, you're not really present with any of them. So choose one thing to be here. I'm so grateful that you chose to be with me, because you could also use this time to do something else. So, hi Linda, hi Emily's on YouTube, yay, fantastic. So how are you feeling today? Just tune in for a moment. Take a nice deep breath. Maybe there's a little stretch that wants to be done, or just take a moment to check in. Take a moment to check in. How are you doing right now? Right now, not 5 minutes ago, not what you think you're going to have to handle in 5 minutes or 5 hours or in the week. Right now, this very moment, right here, right now, while you're listening, while you're checking in, like, how are you doing in this very moment? And leave me a comment below. And that doesn't matter whether you're live or on the replay. So I'm going to take a sip of water while you do that. And then leave me a comment below. Now, so what is the dark night of the soul? How do you know you are having a so-called dark night of the soul? And how to handle it, how to navigate through that, and how to maybe potentially get out of it. So these are the things that we're going to discuss today a little bit, and I want to have your input. I want to have your experience. And and I'm going to dive into it in a second. And I'm getting a comment here that I want to share, because that's such a great one, because it comes so often. If anyone says, it's like, how are you feeling today? Or how are you doing? And you say, I'm feeling tired. Tired is not an emotion. Tired is something that we often use when we're not very clear on how are we actually feeling. So I would invite you, so I love that, and I check then deeper within myself. What's underneath the tiredness? What's an emotion? What's an energy frequency? Like, what's besides of feeling tired, that is just a little nugget to sometimes become more aware and clear what's actually really moving inside. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. A bit anxious about all I have to do to take a road trip. Okay, I hear you. Ooh, road trip is like moving. It's exciting and scary at the same time. I'm with you. Okay, so what is the dark night of the soul? Have you heard of that term before? What do you think it's for you? Now, I don't know the origin of the first time that term was created in some ways. I'm sure it's in the past that I might be in a past life or whatever. I know that the origin is often shared from religious spiritual crisis. Now, over the last 2 decades that I've been on this spiritual journey and I have experienced my own fair share of dark nights of the soul, it is very much used in many different ways. So I want to elaborate on how I use the term so that it's very clear. It's not a specific religion. It's not a specific belief. So whether you have a particular belief or religion, because my clients are from all over the board. Like I have clients who are Jewish. I have clients who are spiritual but non-religious. I have clients who are Christians. So it doesn't really matter, because ultimately the experience and the feelings to a certain extent are the same. Does it make sense? Now, the dark night of the soul is often related to when we have a spiritual crisis. Sometimes people also use it for any type of crisis, and it doesn't really matter. Any type of crisis can be also a non-spiritual crisis, even though in my world, every crisis is somehow a spiritual crisis, because we are spiritual beings, whether we believe it in that moment or whether we experience it in that moment, because part of the dark night of the soul is the crisis of being disconnected. So the soul itself, I find it interesting, it's called the dark night of the soul. The soul itself does not have a dark night. It's the human that is in incarnation, that is in spirit, has the experience, that has the darkness, that has the struggle, that have the crisis, so to say. The soul itself does not have the crisis. Does it make sense? So I want to make that distinction. And so many people right now, including myself, are going through a lot of real intense transitions, intense experiences, right? So now I wanted to talk about that because that was coming in my meditation this morning when I wasn't even sure what I'm going to talk about today. Because I'm going through a phase of dark night of the soul myself right now, this moment, maybe with you, maybe with and a lot of other people right now. So I want to talk about this from a different perspective, maybe, or from a higher perspective. Now, I obviously don't know if this resonates with you, how you experience that. So I would really appreciate today if you give me your feedback, your questions, where you are at. This is more like a safe space to connect, a safe space to share, and to also give you the sense that you are not alone. You are not alone, and we're in this together. And I've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks or even months, that so much is going on, so much struggle, so much intense emotions, fear, anger, shame, pain, insecurity, depression, like the uncertainty. So this is not something that just kind of, that's just a moment. This is a wave hitting right now, and I don't know how long it's going to last. So I want to give this Mondays also a space for being real and talking about the stuff that does not feel so good, right? And to navigate through this, and how to navigate through this together, so that if you are having a moment, or maybe you're totally fine right now, but I'm sure that you know someone that is going through a tough time right now. I don't know anyone right now that does not know someone who has a tough time right now. So now I'm going to check the comments real quick, because I do want to engage with you. So leave me a comment below with any questions you have about this topic and how you are feeling about this and how you navigated through it. And I will tune it and I will share a little bit more about my perspective and what's helping me, and also some of my clients. So, and we have a range of different emotions here, anxiety, low on energy, wish more energy, yes. emotional fatigue, depression, and anxiety. Thank you for sharing. Yes, absolutely. It makes sense. 100% going through it. Yes, Emily, I'm with you. So you're not alone. Again, I want to emphasize that. And even when we know it, it seems like still that it's just us because it's overwhelming. So from an energetical perspective, I also want to talk about that for a moment. So in a nutshell, and again, I don't have all the answers. These are my thoughts right now. My thoughts might be different tomorrow, in a week, in a month, in a year, because I evolve, I grow, and I go up and down throughout my life. So, but this is how I navigate through it right now, or how I see it at the moment. So I always allow myself to change my mind as we are growing and learning. So the dark night of the soul or spiritual crisis often feels like or shows up as a disconnect from the divine, from spirit, from the soul, from God, whatever your faith, religion, or belief is. There is something not connected, and we often feel like it can have symptoms like feeling lost, doubting, not trusting. It can show up in different symptoms like, depression, anxiety. It can even show up through a breakup or health issues. It can show up in many different ways. But some of the common experiences is a lack of meaning and things not making sense, insecurity and doubt about our own connection to the higher, feeling as if we don't see the answers, we don't see the purpose, and a sense of sometimes wanting to give up. It can have so many other flavors and colors. I'm just mentioning a few. Does that resonate with you? Any of what I just shared? And are you currently in it? So I want you to take a break, not a break. Yeah, take a break. Take a breath. Take a breath and allow yourself to be with whatever you're experiencing, or in the past, or hold space for someone else. Just allow yourself to simply navigate through it by acknowledging that you're doubting yourself, or you have an experience of doubting yourself, an experience of not being connected, an experience, whatever your experience is. Please share your experience with me. Just take a moment to hold space for it and to acknowledge it. In this safe space together, you are not alone. What I keep seeing over and over now more than ever, it's not so much about the doing, it's not so much about finding the right answer or anything right now. It's about holding space in being and allowing and giving yourself time and space to sit, reflect, and come back to yourself. There's so, especially coming out of the lockdown, coming out of the pandemic in some way, it looks like, oh yeah, a lot of places, depending on where you live, but you just go back to where it is. No, the transition was a little bit, some of us didn't even have a real transition. Now, it takes some time to come back and to readjust. Adjusting is what's missing in a lot of us. Like adjusting to whatever the new is right now, and to accept that it takes time. And I'm not saying this lightly, because I'm in that, even on Saturday, I had a severe emotional meltdown. Like I was crying, and my friend was holding space for me. And that was so necessary to hold space, because when we are alone with it, it's very difficult to process and let it flow so that you can reconnect again. Now, one of the ways to navigate through that, I tell you a few things that worked for me in the past, that I currently do and that I also do with clients, although with clients it's always a little bit different than a friend, okay? To hold space for a friend, it's not about fixing or whatever. It's like, my clients pay me to help them. And that's what I do. Now, every client needs something different at any point. But when I talk about, hey, if you want to hold space for a friend, it's not about you fixing them, you trying to make them feel better. No, it's about holding space so they can let that move and be expressed. Okay? And she said, it does resonate. I sometimes have the feeling of not being connected. Yeah. Who else feels sometimes like you're not connected? Like, raise your hand. Click the like, love, whatever button. Raise your hand. You can even raise your hand here somehow. Raise your hand. Okay? I'm raising it with here. It's disconnected. So how do we navigate through it? And how do we get out of it? Okay? I think one of the first things is really to allow yourself to accept that it's an experience. I resist it sometimes myself. It's when we're in it, we're in it. When we're in it, we are in it. When we're in it, we're disconnected in some way. But there is consciousness and there is awareness. Now my number one go-to is meditation. And a particular type of meditation that I teach, energy-based meditation, where you go in, up, down and out, and you do want to reconnect upwards. Now it takes something, sometimes it needs a few other steps before you can go up, okay? But meditation and reconnecting up is one of the things that helps. Now another thing helps also, because we do feel like we want to hide, is to really talk about it with someone, a trusted person that can hold space for you. You don't want to share it with anyone who doesn't understand you, who has no idea how to hold space, or that might even be judging you or wanted to fix you. Now, here's the thing. If you think like, oh my God, I don't have a friend like that, then you got to teach your friends. You got to teach your friends. You got to tell them what you need. So I do that sometimes, if someone is like, my best friend is not available, and and I want to still share it, and I say like, hey, listen, I just want to share some things because I know it's going to help me to move things. I don't want you to give me a solution. I don't even want to hear anything much. I just want you to let me talk, if that's okay with you. And maybe you can say, hey, I hear you. You can teach them. Yeah, if you don't have these people in your life, teach them, because you know what you need. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, Darlene. Yeah. Currently in the dark night of the soul for several reasons. Yes, internal, external. Yes, a lot of people. I think it's really a collective. It's a collective going through this, and how to navigate it. One of the things is really to show up and be connected. So I acknowledge you for being here, because it's so much easier to hide, even though it doesn't feel good. Okay. Now, one of the challenges I experience within myself and also some of my clients is the toughest part sometimes to navigate through is when we lose, so to say. We don't really lose anything because we are just having an experience. But when we lose a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, a sense of that it makes all sense on some level, even if we don't understand it, right? Now, when you follow the path, even when it doesn't feel good and you're on the path, then it's easier to be on the path. And I spoke about this recently when I said, and I got the reminder this morning again on my meditation, the reminder, maybe you need the reminder today as well. There is no wrong path. There's no wrong path. There's no even a wrong decision, because I've been feeling the last few days, oh my God, I made such a big mistake. And I didn't make any sense. And I don't know how I even got myself there. Like I was just, I haven't felt like this in the last 20 years. Like since I've been on my path, like really consciously in a way, it's like I follow. And it always it helps to know I'm doing the right thing. So for the first time in a very, very long time, I was doubting my own judgment. That was a tough one. And so when we have that, that's what I call the real dark night of the soul. That's the real dark night of the soul, when you really feel like, oh my God, I don't know anything anymore. Like, I don't know if that is actually makes any sense. Am I still on the right path? Like, what if I have made this big mistake? Whatever it is, it's that accumulation of doubt, judgment, and insecurity of the path. So there is no wrong path. And I got the reminder myself this morning. So also to share with you, it even got the message, there is no such thing like a mistake or a wrong decision. The only thing that exists is an experience, and the struggle is the human in us, our personality, our human that is having this experience, is having this dark night of the soul. And when we connect upwards and kind of can see it as, imagine here's one thing that helps me. Even when I feel like I'm totally disconnected, I look at myself from a higher perspective as a separate, not entity, but it's like I connect to the higher part in me, and I look at myself as this human being having struggle. Maybe she's crying her eyes out right now. Maybe she's doubting her path. Maybe she feels like a failure. And connecting to that piece, or even only imagining it, if you don't feel it, but even imagining that you are high above and you look at this beautiful being that you are, caught up in despair, and you look at yourself from that perspective so that you can see a higher perspective. Does that make sense what I'm saying? It's such an internal, like, maybe it sounds kind of weird, but does that make sense? Yeah, hi Amy. Yeah, she says, like, yeah, sometimes it feels like a constant inner battle. Yeah, you know. Another thing that helps, or another thing that can maybe help, is taking it really one moment at a time. Now, and me included, I don't share anything that I'm not doing or I'm navigating through or I learned. Okay, so sometimes we are a step ahead. We have an inner battle, we have a struggle, and it has a lot of steps or a lot of different moving parts, and we worry about the next one. So one thing that I tell myself when I have a moment of consciousness is like, stay in the step you're in, deal with this moment, just with this one moment. Because when we deal with only this one moment, in this moment, I can feel a wave of breath and release in some of you. It's like, if we only deal with this present moment struggle, even if it's a struggle, it's not so overwhelming because it's only this moment. Does that make sense? Yes, everything makes sense. Okay. Now again, let's see some other things that are coming through that could be helpful when you're in it. A big one is helping someone else. Now, there is a fine line to helping others too much in order to avoid your own dark night of the soul. But you get to experience your dark night of the soul. You don't get to escape. But helping someone will help you too, for several reasons. Okay? But one of the reasons is like that you don't take your own shit so important, or it's not the number one priority in that moment. So helping someone or doing something, supporting something that is meaningful to you. And if you don't feel like anything is meaningful right now, maybe you are in such a, it's like, I don't care about anything anymore. Ask the question, who could I help today? And maybe it's just your neighbor, helping him taking up the groceries. It doesn't have to be super spiritual or big thing. Help someone cross the road. Call someone. Ask yourself, who can I help today? And the answer will come at some point. For me personally, especially when it's like connected with the spiritual crisis and me helping others constantly, because that's what I do for work. That's my job, to help others. That's what I do professionally. Now, when you are in crisis and you think like, oh my God, I'm helping all the time, I don't want to help on top of it, somebody else. If that occurs to me, that sometimes I experience that. What helps me is to help animals. And it doesn't even have such a huge thing. It can be, I pick up my neighbor's dog and go for a walk. I have a horse that it's not my horse. I call it my horse, but it's not my horse. But further down where he lives, right? And so I go in the morning and bring him some carrots and try to connect with him, because I think he was abused before and he doesn't let him, he is not really touchy yet. So I'm working on that. So that helps me personally. Maybe for you animals, it's not the thing. But one of the things is to navigate through it, is to find something, the smallest thing that can get you for a moment even to focus on something else. Because when we are going through the dark night of the soul, it's so much about us all the time. We are in such misery. We are in such suffering. We are in such a feeling of struggle that to find something, even just for a moment, but every day, to do something where you forget about it because you're focusing on something completely different. That's one thing. And another thing super important is to somehow keep moving, whatever that means, even if you have to force yourself a little bit. It could be physical movement, it could be going for a walk, doing something, just some form of movement, so that you don't stay stuck and paralyzed. Yeah, Dolin is saying big smile here. Animals are a great distraction and connection. So my animals, don't underestimate, and I was talking about this to a friend this morning as well, where I'm sharing, like, my mornings are my happy place, because I go and pick up the dogs, walk to the horse, I go there with my bag of carrots, and because I've been doing it already for a while now, and he sees me, he even comes towards me. He's still very shy the touching part is not happening yet. But anyway, why I'm sharing this, it can be so therapeutic. Animals and connecting with, and if this is your thing, okay, maybe for you it's children, maybe for you it's elderly people, maybe for you it's something completely different, painting, like, it doesn't matter, there's no right or wrong. It's something that gets you out of that slumber, like the mud feeling, and you do something meaningful while you're going through the dark night of the soul, okay? So how to get out of the dark night of the soul? Now, I don't know. And here's why I'm saying that. The dark night of the soul does not have an expiration date and has no rule to, hey, it is 48 hours and you're over it, or it's 7 days and then you're out of it, or it's 3 months or 3 years or whatever. There's no set time frame to go through the dark night of the soul. Okay, and even though we always want to get out of it, the one thing that, even though it doesn't feel good, helps us to see, hey, I don't know when this is going to be maybe over. I'm doing the best I can by facing it, navigating through it, growing, seeing the lessons, or sometimes I don't see the lessons, but to be okay with the fact, because otherwise we are trying to control something that we cannot control. It's like there is no set time. How you can get out of it is by finding those moments and the things that I shared, but we don't really know, because it's not one particular thing. You got to find your own way. And maybe that was not the answer that you were looking for, but I find it always it takes the pressure off, It's an experience, and I invite you to go up for a moment with me. I invite you to go up with me for a moment. If you've been with me for a while and you've worked with me in the past, you know exactly what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, I invite you to simply imagine taking a breath and letting your awareness and your attention move upwards, whatever that means to you. Yeah, and just go up. You can even just look up. Just look up for a moment. And I don't know where you are. Maybe you see the roof, or maybe you see the ceiling, or maybe you see, not the roof is on top, but the ceiling. Maybe you see clouds. Maybe you see whatever you see. Just look up. Music. Amy is just, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Amy saying love. Oh, laughing. Yes, thank you. Oh, yeah, good that you mentioned that. Watching something funny or chatting with a friend or mom, it just lifts me up in music. Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Amy. I sometimes just open up my phone. I do that on Facebook. Go to my watch thing because I follow a few pages and stuff. Some of them are funny and I just, but sometimes I just go and watch stand-up comedy. Something funny, because we got to do something to break a little bit the cycle, because when we're in it, it seems unbearable, and it's not necessarily the solution to all of it, but every little thing helps. And in my experience, and I've been to dark nights of the soul before, and when we're in it, we forget it sometimes, because here's the reality, most likely true for you too. I would say 99% true for you, okay? And if it's the 1% for you, never mind. But 99% true for you. You've gone through a dark night of the soul before, in some way or another this lifetime. True or false? Let me know. Now, did you get out of it? Did it all work out in the end? Did something good come out of it? Most likely, if you're on a true spiritual path, yes. If you're taking responsibility, yes. If you chose to learn from it, yes. If not, that might be a different story. But is it true or not? And as you are following me, if you are here listening to me, I'm fairly sure it's true for you too. It's true for me too. Okay? Now, even reminding yourself of it will help you. Go back to the last time. I remember last time, and I see myself on that was, somewhere else. It doesn't matter where it was, but I was on the kitchen floor crying, devastated, and I was looking from above, seeing this human being having this incredible struggle. And I forgot about it for once. I remembered it recently. It was like, I've been there. I've been in the dumpster a few times. And once we move through it, it will have some sense. It will have something good, even though we don't know what it is yet. Okay? Okay, I could keep talking and talking and talking, but I also want to honor your time. And before you leave, again, there's maybe more to say about this. I just, hope that was helpful for you. Just connecting is helpful. Just even sharing is helpful. Okay? So if this was valuable to you and you have a takeaway, something felt good, or something made sense, or something, leave a comment below right now. So don't leave yet. Do me a favor, just stay another minute. In our sharing, in our connecting, and tune in for a moment. What is something that you took out of this today? What was valuable? Why was it worth it for you today to take those 35 minutes that we're on here together? Why was it worth it? And what did you get out of it? And share it with me. Okay, let me see if I also missed any other. Don't want to miss anything here. Okay, I see a few not true. Yes, definitely. Yes, yeah, you're not alone. You see? Yes, true. And I got out of it. Sometimes I've just let it go on its own, writing it out, because I know it doesn't last forever and there's a lesson in there. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly what I said. Yeah. This too shall pass. Write it down somewhere. And you know what? My experience, I want to share this last piece with you, because that was a big one, or is a big one that I'm navigating through right now, is shame. Especially the further you are along that you think, like there's not something, but the shame that comes with it when you go through the dark night of the soul, and you doubt yourself suddenly again, and you feel like there's so many levels, and it's so subtle and it's so hidden. But the shame, and it often comes then with self-judgment as well, and the desire to hide. So when we are open and sharing, you don't need to do that. When you have a safe space where you can honestly say, I am going through a dark night of the soul right now, or maybe I've been going through this and this whole years for me is like it's a whole dark night of the soul, right? So that's okay. So when you take the time to connect, to share, and not to hide, then we all can move through it. And maybe, that's a crazy thought, maybe even find joy in going through it. Like, I just had this image of, all these, from a higher level, from my soul's perspective, all these beautiful beings, we are all friends on the path. You and me, we are friends on the path. And we're looking down and see like this, super struggling and laughing and crying together, but we are not alone. We're laughing, we're crying, we're stumbling, we're running, and then we're dancing again, and then we fall down again. But with love and compassion, if you can look at yourself going through this dark night of the soul with love and compassion as much as you can, until it feels like it's moving and transitioning to a different space again. Okay, because we don't know when it is. Maybe for you it's now, maybe for you it's tomorrow, or maybe for you it's in a month. I don't know. And neither do I. So neither do you. Okay. I'm going to read the last comments and then I'm going to let you go. And if you're watching this on the replay and you're leaving a comment, I will definitely read it. So please leave a comment below. And if this was valuable to you, also your biggest takeaway. And share it with someone that you know is maybe going through a dark night of the soul today. Okay, so takeaways here. Stay for the takeaways. They're always so helpful. Definitely, yeah, the higher perspective really helps. Absolutely. Good reminder. Bettina, which one? I don't know which one, but everything is a good reminder, whatever it is. My takeaway is stepping outside myself to help someone else. It really helps. It really does help and give one a sense of mattering. Yes, that's a really, really good takeaway. A good reminder for all of us as well. Yeah. I think it's all part of learning, and change is painful, but our opportunity to grow. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's a given. That's the foundation. And sometimes when we go through the dark night of the soul, we even don't see that. I want to be okay. And that's okay too. When you're really going through a real dark night of the soul, even though you somehow understand that's the case, you even don't feel that's true anymore. That's okay too. Just talking to someone I feel like might go through something like that. You're very welcome, Deline. So glad I joined today. Takeaway, we all have our down times and there are ways to navigate while going through the low times. Yes, beautiful takeaway. The good thing, I'm not freaking out anymore if it comes because I know there's light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, Bettina, absolutely. I know exactly. Once you're on the path long enough, and I will even say, even if someone does freak out, that's okay too. Everything is allowed. But remind yourself, hey, I've been there. I've been there so bad. So what if I surrender? What if I surrender? Even though it feels scary to surrender, what if I surrender to my experience right now? And I keep taking one step at a time. And I keep helping someone. And I keep moving. And I keep setting the intention to love myself through this. With everything. The tears, the joy, the pain, the laughter. Surrendering and allowing to navigate through this. Well, thank you for being here today. Come back next Monday. It's the 200th show of the Soul Infused Monday show. I have no idea what we're going to do, but I trust that it will be exactly what we need right now to navigate this insanity of a year. I love you. I appreciate you. If you have any questions, let me know. If you are struggling and you're looking for additional support, please reach out. And otherwise, I hope to see you on Monday. Put it in your timer now as a reminder. Oh, I have one more thing to share. Can I? Will you stay one more minute? I'm going to share it with you either way. Because many, many years ago, I wrote a poem called The Dark Night of the Soul. Now, I didn't write that for myself because I got inspired and channeled through to support someone that was going through a dark night of the soul at that point. Now, since I wrote that poem, I might have gone one more time through a really dark night of the soul, but I might read this to you. So this is to you, and this is to me, and for anyone that is going through the dark night of the soul. So I'm going to complete this show today with the Dark Night of the Soul poem. The dark night of the soul. I can see who is in, even when you are blind. This incredible heart, full of love and so kind. Caught inside in despair, feeling anger and shame. I see you through my soul, without judgment and blame. Sometimes hard to accept any help from outside, longing to disappear. All we want is to hide. I have been there myself, and I do know the pain. Thus, by pushing too hard, nothing I do obtain. I do trust and let go. You will find your own way. But I'm here with my heart that I wanted to say. You are loved, and I choose to keep holding the light. Take good care of yourself and come back to shine bright. Shine bright, my dear friend. Love yourself through this moment. And I'm looking forward to seeing you Monday. Much love.